Today's stream is going to be behind the scenes of Ashes of Ataxia, from the initial thought and how it's created, and go down the entire list on how everything is made from the beginning to inside of my noggin, all the way down to execution, how I put it all together in the fantasy grounds, the whole process from going from the live action play live on the stream all the way to the YouTube recreation. So I'm going to get my thoughts together and we're going to figure this out here real quick. Okay, so the order is: session is prepped, audio recording from all the players starts, then the session is played, audio recording submitted, notes are taken from session, notes are read by the writers to write the script is submitted for proofreading, then the final script is submitted and sent to the voice actor then sends back the recording, then I approve it, and then it's ready for editing. The audio recordings from session are edited down painfully to the role-playing parts. Then I prepare the intro and file for editing, create maps and animations, quote unquote, in Tailspire, and then record it to be used in the editing. Then I edit all the parts together, render out, done, upload to YouTube. Simple, right? We're going to go through and start on everything from the top of the list and go down to kind of like give you a visual representation of everything that happens as well. So what I pay to play D&D. Program books are roughly about 65. They change. I kind of honestly, the more money I get back from the streams, I put into buying new books and stuff. But that's so that way I can use the books and Fantasy Grounds Unity, which is $9.99 per month for me to use, and it allows all the other players to play the game as well. I make it so that way they can play it. So that way I pay $9.99 a month, so that way I can play and everybody else can play for free. Then we have the Sirenscape audio, which allows me to play audio from my source into an online connection like store where I can kind of set all the audio cues and music, have everybody listen to it in real time. And then also I pay the voice actor $10 per voice acting session. I would like to get to the point where I can pay for the writers and everything like that once I start getting more money when I actually get money from playing D&D. So roughly it's about $30 a month to play, and we do about maybe 1 to 2 sessions a month, maybe. Sounds about right. That's how much it is, the cost to play D&D. That doesn't include the time. The time gets a little bit ridiculous. So we use Fantasy Grounds Unity because I really like it. It has everything kind of built in, but Fantasy Grounds Unity has everything built into it. It's super easy for me to like make things on the fly, and it eliminates a lot of the prep work that I used to use. I used to use Roll20, which is a browser-based program for Dungeons and Dragons and other tabletop kind of like role-playing games. And I used to use that. However, it took a long time to get the hang of, because I had to do a lot of macros and a lot of prepping and stuff. Yeah, so the first thing I do is I do session prepping, where I'll have the session kind of set up, where this is where all my players do. This is my GM view. You guys don't ever get to see this. You see Vigarth's perspective on the streams, so that way you can actually see all the neat stuff that I can do. Yeah, interior. We'll open this up here so we can kind of take a look at it. But I have the maps. I either create them, find them, or do a bunch of different things. And what I do is I go through and I have to, so this is just a standard map that was used in an upcoming episode 2 that we'll get more into. But so this was actually episode 1 when they're going through the whole mines and they're working their way through. This is where Gromash got knocked unconscious and died, and the whole fight was taking place as they broke into the mines. And this is the place where they were shooting down the last goblin up against the scratching wall. And then right here is where the boss battle is. But this is the fighting area where everybody takes place with the goblins. So what I do is I have my characters here, click and drag them in there. I do the fights, and I usually use a website to calculate the fights, or there might be some modules that I can do it. So goblin, I'm looking for a goblin boss, right? So this is a goblin boss I would like to use. So the fight that was here, I prep up an encounter. Anyway, so what I do is I set up the encounter so that way everybody can fight. I don't want to get rid of those. So we're going to just show the tokens because I got to keep that for next session. So we have our creatures here that I prep up for the fight, so that way they are able to just go. I do a lot of session work, and not only do I just throw a map here, but I do have line of sight, so that way they can kind of see some stuff. They can the players can only see certain things, or behind a door and stuff like that. So I have to go through the entire map and set up walls and doors and windows based off of lines. That way it kind of adds what they're able to see and what they're not able to see. example, this little creature right here, drag him here, he's only able to see what he can see based off his line of sight. I go through and do this for every single map. Every single map that I do that has line of sight gets added in here. And some maps I create from scratch. An example of one is the Spider King's Lair, and I added certain effects like fog. And then you can also see the line of sight that I've done for the whole fight, and line of sight that they can see down here, traps I've set up, the boss fight that they had down here with Raguk and the Spider King. All the details I end up adding, the Eye of Ataxia, the looking thing right here, the logo, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then you can see what we'll go into when we get into Tailspire on how each one of these maps that are created or used are recreated in a 3D program that's used for Dungeons and Dragons. But that should be about it for prepping. I do the fights, I kind of get the ideas of where the players can go and where they hop around to, but that's the prep of the session. So all the players have Audacity, which is a free audio recording program, and in every session, each player, including me, starts recording their own audio from the start of the session to the end of the session, and then they all start that. Then the session is played. We play the session like normal. Everybody goes through, everything happens. They go through my prep content, or I quickly create content that's not prepped based off of, where they're at or what's going on in fights. Everything I try to keep very seamless. And so it's a very reactive kind of style of DMing, which I really like. So the session's played and all the recordings are done. The players then save and get their audio recording compacted down, send it to me so I can store it and use it for editing. And then all that time, notes are taken either from the VOD of the stream or during live the stream from people like Lady or me, or if Morrow ever can, Morrow. And notes are taken so that way we can gather all the notes and the important details and descriptions and everything like that. Thorough note taking is required so that way we can send these notes over to our writers who then write the script. And the script is then submitted to be proofread so that way it's flawless and beautiful and everything's double checked, And then after that, the final scripts are submitted to the voice actor. The voice actor then records. Wonderful Atlas Hugs has amazing, sultry, deep, beautiful voice, and he records all the narration of, he plays the narrator. So he records all of the voice acting and sends it back to me for approval. I approve, make sure it matches the script. I go through some parts, like, okay, this part I didn't like, or there was maybe needs a correction, and he'll re-record that part for me. And all that's done, he sends it back. I'm ready to edit. Almost. Because then I have to go through everybody's 3 to 6 hour long session audio recordings and chop it down from that couple hours, let's say 4-hour average episode, chop it all the way down so that way the only audio I have is of voice recordings. And it goes from like a 3-hour thing down to 5 minutes of just role play and reaction and voice of the people and characters. So that way I can use those audios inside of my editing. Then I get to prepare the intro and file for editing, where we're going to get ready to start. And I'll show you what that looks like. Final script is submitted. So the voice actor sends back the recording, approved it, ready for editing. Audio recordings or session are edited down to role-playing parts. Then I prepare the intro and file for editing. That's what I do here. I have my wonderful, beautiful face doing this really cringy thing here. You're watching an episodic recap of a D&D campaign called Ashes of Ataxia. You can catch these sessions live over on our Twitch channels. Links are in the description down below. Then we cut into the fantastic intro, which is and every episode I'm going to have a different kind of effect going on. This is the second episode one. Kind of change it every time. Then it will come up, and then after I edit the portal, I'll have the audio play. I haven't quite figured out where it's at. Start of it comes in, Ashes of Ataxia, episode name and episode number. I have to edit those still. And then after that's all prepped and done, we go through and we plop in our audio recording.
After the last encounter.
Not only that, we're missing something. We're missing all the visuals. All my visuals that I need to go back through. So now that the intro file is set up, I haven't done the text, but I do the text. I can do the text later, but I set all that up. I get the audio dragged in and we're ready to roll. All I need to do then is go back and make sure the outro still exists off of my template. There's the outro. We're good to go. Now I get to go through and recreate, make the anime version of Ashes of Ataxia. But Bouncy Rocks has this wonderful program. I'm super hyped to see where they get with this game. I'm really excited to see what they do with this game, because this is a game that you'll be able to play Dungeons and Dragons on. We go back to this wonderful thing right here, right? Like this big old chunky map, right? We're gonna go back to Tailspire, and I'm gonna go through and recreate that map. I'm gonna 1-for-1 recreate that entire map. Not right now because I've already done it. I have to do that for session 3. Ugh. So this is a fantastic application that you can use to play D&D, but I used it to kind of create the world that is D&D. So what I do is I kind of go up over here, smack that, hit my board, and we're going to go to Goblin Mine Interior. So that map, right? That map that I created, this whole thing, the whole 9 yards, right? I recreated all of that. Every bit of it, using 3D assets provided by Tailspire. And I go through, and we go through this way. Here the party. This is where they ended last time. Through these doors, goblin bosses. This is where we're going. I'm going to go through, and we're going to go through some editing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the script.
The body of the goblin still warm.
And recreate all these scenes that I want to create for it. And we're going to do that. We'll play some nice music, and I'll pull up my script here. Here's my final script.